You were just at the Tennessee State Fair making a big announcement in Lebanon, Tennessee. Tell us about the announcement and what that has to do with solar panels in our farmland.
Well, first of all, can I say what a joy it is to be in the studio with you.
Thank you.
You and I have walked through the Capitol together. You've been at USDA. We've sort of had all these meetings, and over the last 6 months, a few times I think you've mentioned, if you're ever in Tennessee, you got to come by the studio.
Come by the studio, and you kept your word.
Well,
I love that.
It was, we were about 45 minutes away and did a quick little in and out and wanted to make the announcement. I said, we got to go see Tammi. I made a commitment to her. So I'm very happy to be in studio with you. And
thank you.
This is really beautiful. Well done.
It is. Patrick Gotch had a vision.
Yeah.
And he did it here.
I'm so impressed.
But we are a voice for agriculture. And so you are making strides to help our farmers and ranchers. Let's talk about that announcement today.
Well, we had a great announcement today. We have lots of announcements. At Friday, I was in Austin announcing the New World Screw worm facility that we basically, with the support of the White House, building a almost $750 million facility on our side of the border. Right now, we rely on Mexico and Panama for that. So that was Friday. Jumped back on the plane to come here. Just about an hour ago, we announced that for the first time under this administration, we are rolling back all of the taxpayer money through the Biden years on solar panels taking over our farmland. So this is a big issue. I keep hearing from farmers, that the beautiful farmland that's basically being taken off the playing field. And Tammi, we've talked about with the average age of the farmer at 58, with so many small family farms closing through the years that can't make enough money, we've got to start making real change with a long-term vision. So this announcement this morning was part of that. We're not going to be buying any more components from China, which is obviously a foreign adversary. So really happy to be in Tennessee at the Wilson County, Tennessee State Fair to make that announcement.
Right. No, and it was a full house, and they really received that message because a lot of our farms in Tennessee and throughout the country, they're that small and mid-sized farm, aren't they? So they need a way to keep that in the family or at least to keep it local, making sure our folks and our farmers are able to give the food, fiber, and clothing that we need. So what else is USDA doing to make sure those small and mid-sized farms stay profitable and successful?
Well, one of the things I think it's important to talk about is the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it's interesting, a lot of the narrative around it right now is, the mean Republicans, they cut this and cut that. But I don't know that rural America fully realizes that there was really no cutting for agriculture, for rural America, et cetera. That bill with President Trump's leadership, the leadership from the Hill, is putting more money into rural America and our farmers and our ranchers than ever before. And one of the big issues that kept getting flagged for me starting last November when I was announced as the 33rd Secretary of Agriculture pending confirmation was I kept having people say the Farm Bill, the Farm Bill, the Farm Bill, and specifically reference prices. So starting in really January, even before I was confirmed, we knew that, and I've been speaking to President Trump about this for a couple of years, that really his vision for America, his America First agenda, was going to, for the most part, have to be effectuated if he were to be elected again, almost within the first few months. That's when you have the most momentum politically. But in that, through reconciliation, which is a confusing thing that how we get things done in Washington, not worth getting into here, but that we would need to put in a lot of his vision and promises into that bill. Now, in January, when I started thinking, wow, I had not really considered the ag side of this 2 years prior. I was thinking tax cuts and healthcare and education and border, but I wonder if there's a way to get these agriculture priorities, including reference prices, including the death tax, including 45Z and tax deductions, including 100% expensing into that reconciliation bill. And I talked to the president about it, and he said, we've got to do everything we can for this segment. He believes, farmers first always, especially hurting right now. So I think we're getting a lot done there. The flip side of it, but I believe just as important to the bill is the trade deals that are getting done. And we have to open up the markets, especially for our row croppers. So you'll see whether it's Japan, Vietnam, South Korea, Australia, the UK, EU, the president has been resolute in these new trade deals. And the people that those trade deals help the most not today, unfortunately, but in a month, in 6 months, in a year, are going to be our farmers and ranchers.
Right. And of course, that is such a big piece of the puzzle in making sure that our farmers and our ranchers are profitable and sustainable to make that happen. Let's talk about trade when we think about China out of that piece of the puzzle. Do we have the new markets to make up for that? What's going on to make up that difference, I guess?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that the president is very aware of. He continues to work, and our team does, with China. But I think that we all understand that we have to find new markets to make up for that. And whether it is rice into Japan, ethanol into the UK, EU, a $750 billion commitment, including taking down the non-tariff trade barriers. At every turn, this president and our team and our, Letnick is our Commerce Secretary doing the negotiations, Jameson Greer, our ambassador for trade, they are at every turn have the row croppers at the very top of their list when they walk in. And I talk to them almost daily to make sure that it stays that way. So yes, I believe very, very sincerely that we will be able to make up those markets and even top those markets that we perhaps may not have from China. But I also think we'll still continue to have those markets in China. We just won't be as reliant on them. China needs us more than we need them, and they are really hurting under these negotiations. And so I think we'll see some really important announcements coming very soon.
Right. In the long run, it's going to be a benefit.
It's very
I think
important.
Of what I hear you saying.
Yes.
Can we talk corn for a minute?
Yes.
We had a very big WASDE report come out last week. And I think there was a little new strategy on how USDA came up with that. Talk a little bit about that and what the differences were and what that means for our producers.
Well, the WASDE report, of course, is a market report. It's today's Monday, a week ago Tuesday, tomorrow, we have a lot of farmers come in, and then of course a lot of the different countries are represented. It's a market moving report, so it's down in the basement, locked away at USDA, and no one knows, including myself, what that report's going to say. So the report this past week basically unveiled that we have a very robust, record-breaking corn crop. And that is good news on the one hand, that, American producers continue to outperform, outproduce, it's just remarkable what American farmers are doing. But of course, the market, once you have more of something, it drives price down even further. And for those row croppers who are basically barely surviving under the current thin profit margins or no profit margins at all, I took 7 or 8 of those farmers to lunch at the White House right after the report was announced. We usually bring in senators and governors and others to the White House, and I want to bring in some real farmers. And so, not knowing what that report would say, I had some incredible corn farmers from Indiana, and Kansas, and some others come in, and they were like, "We're going to be honest, that's really bad news for us. What that means is that prices will go down. Farmers will lose their farms. Banks will not provide the loans for the next harvest unless something changes immediately." So within an hour, I was on the phone with some counterparts around the world, with some of our top producers, some of our top cooperatives. How do we move this corn out right away? And we're making some progress, nothing to announce yet, but I think that is reflective of the difference in this administration, that the minute we sense a significant problem, we're on the phones working it, to make a deal. So hopefully we'll be able to solve for that.
And I know a lot of our corn farmers that are also involved in the ethanol industry are saying, hey, give us E15 year round. That actually kind of solves a problem on both ends. Have you heard discussion about that?
Huge problem. Yes, and I was already talking to friends on the Hill in the Senate and the House. This is perhaps a crisis, and this calls for action. And this is not just supporting our, Midwestern and we're really across the country corn farmers. This is national security, and it is that important. These farms and their security is national security at this point. And it basically means, do we have an America in 10, 20, 50 years that we want? And if we're not able, again, to solve for these big problems for these specific farmers, I don't know that we will. So I am confident in the plans we're laying out to, again, solve for that. But it was an important day last week, and one that we've got to take very seriously.
In our final minute, I want to give you the opportunity to kind of paint the picture of the future for agriculture, not only in the next few months or year, but 5 years, 10 years from now. How do you see it?
Well, I had a great time this morning in Tennessee. And we talked to the 1,200 people at the ham breakfast, and then met with some farmers and ranchers representing everything from Tennessee: dairy, Tennessee walking horses, corn, wheat, cotton, all of it, cattle, and then did a press conference. And it's funny, I've started talking a little bit more about this because I think it's important for people to realize our founding fathers envisioned a country based on self-governance and freedom and small federal government, the opportunity to kind of take care of your family, practice your faith in freedom. And what's happened, of course, we know under both Republicans and Democrats, the government has just gotten too big. It's one of the main visions I think the president cast, President Trump, for the country. One of the main reasons he won every swing state and the popular vote. And so that's important. But I do think one of the challenges of the American system that I would not change, but is that we are in elections every 2 years. And so as a result, why China and other countries are thinking in 50 and 100-year plans, we are so focused on the next 2 years or the next 4 years. And what I've realized in the last 6 months since becoming, last 5 months Ag Secretary, last 6 months of President Trump, is that we, until President Trump, have not really cast that long-term vision, made that long-term strategic plan, figured out what needs to happen today for our farmers, not just in 6 months to survive and thrive, but in 6 years and in 60 years. And so working at USDA and across our cabinet, which, as you've heard me say, is the most magical group of people meeting this moment as in a revolution similar to the 1860s and the 1770s, is that we are able to, the president has really unleashed us to go figure out what that 10-year, 50-year, 100-year plan is and build that infrastructure now so that we don't have the political headwinds who our farmers are the most at risk of this kind of whiplash that we get every 4 years or so. And whether or not whoever wins in 3.5 years, hopefully it's our side, but if not, we will have been able to put into place and to codify so much of this policy that will allow these farmers and our farming families and frankly, rural America to thrive like never before.
So that our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren have farming and agriculture to lean on.
That's exactly right.
Secretary Brooke Rollins here, Secretary of Agriculture. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we hope we get to do this again.
Tammi, you're the best.
Just a shining light in agriculture. We are lucky to have you.
Thank you so much.